What's the funniest thing is that it doesn't matter how tired I am, as soon as I start this class, I get full of energy.
This class.
This class. Not the night class, this, no.
Yeah, I told you, because night, it's a worse student. You're the best one.
We're live already, so...
They're probably watching it.
So far, no, so we're good. But they might watch later. And they know who you are already. I've mentioned you several times. All right. So we're going to do quizzes right now, thanks to Mina. And those of you that are sleeping, I'm sorry. Time to wake up. Finish the donuts. You can... No? Doesn't work. All right, so we have 50 questions to go over. You guys already know how this game works, right? You do not answer until I get to D. So it's multiple choice. Once I get to D, you raise your hand. The first one to answer gets a prize. The last one to answer gets absolutely nothing. Right?
Yes.
No, it's not right. Is that right? You guys ever watch that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Game show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Oh, man. You guys gotta watch. It's one of my favorite shows. And so the contestants, they use props. It's improv comedy, right? And the person that's overseeing them says, "This is the game show where points don't matter. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna lose either. Let's have fun." That's pretty much what it is. All right. Make sure if there's any question you guys don't understand, you raise your hand and I'll explain why. I mean, I'm still going to explain, but in case you don't understand the explanation, we'll go over it again. Okay? So now we got somebody watching. Good. That's all I was waiting for. Now, first question. Environmental Protection Agency requires buyers of homes built before 1978 receive warnings about possible dangers of radon, electromagnetic fields, groundwater contamination, or lead paint. Layla.
Lead paint.
Lead paint. Betty, you were too fast and you were too furious, man.
We all agree with that answer.
Right? All right. Be patient. Slow down. You want to pass this exam? Don't jump the gun. It is relatively easy to solve problems caused by the presence of asbestos, underground storage tanks, lead paint, or radon. Okay, Layla, go. Radon. Why? Because radon is a natural gas, and it's only dangerous when it becomes trapped in high concentrations. So, open the windows, open the doors, proper ventilation, clears it. Easy.
I'm doing the test at my house today.
Okay. The online?
My husband's there.
Okay, cool. Condemnation is the court process by which the state enforces its power of master planning, eminent domain, escheat, or exclusionary zoning. Nancy? B, eminent domain. I cannot see this. Raise your hand. No, literally, today for some reason I'm not seeing properly, but if you just do this, usually I catch it, but raise your hand. Don't pull anything when you raise your hand. Raise your hand. You know, I just looked at the screen. One of the things that happens is I have this on top of the image, right? So every time I do this, my hand disappears because it doesn't see the projector. It's just, what you guys see here, it's imposed on top of the video. That is
horror movie.
Horror movie. That's it.
John Cena.
Did you really just say John Cena? You can't see me. He really has been all over. All right. When someone dies without a will or any natural heirs, the state acquires his or her property through the power of eminent domain, condemnation, taxation, or escheat. Nancy? D is cheat. Is there anybody else here? Good morning. I mean, I appreciate it, Nancy. Can I get Nayoka to answer? All right. Guys, you have to participate. Whether you have it right or wrong, just do it. Okay? Today does not matter if you have it wrong. It's really to engage. New Jersey's Mount Laurel decisions were concerned with exclusionary zoning, urea formaldehyde foam insulation, eminent domain, or certificates of occupancy. Thank you. Go.
It's a
Exclusionary zoning. Every time you see exclusionary zoning, poor people cannot be excluded from residential areas. And those were the decisions of Mount Laurel 1 and 2. Okay? So always associate Mount Laurel with poor and exclusionary zoning. A certificate of occupancy is issued by Zoning Board of Appeals, Department of Environmental Protection, Building Inspector, or Board of Adjustments. Betty?
C.
C, Building Inspector. Very good. All right, next. It is important to remember that deed restrictions are placed on property by zoning board, seller, state, municipal government. Betty.
B.
B, the seller. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Shoulder?
I said, might as well then I'll exercise too. It's me.
Perfect. That's what this class is about, you know? It's an exercise. Real estate fitness. All right. Now, piece of advice. Long questions we skip in the state exam. Why? Because it's time consuming, and by the time you reach halfway, you already forgot what you started reading. Especially if you do the exam right in the morning and you're still sleeping. So, if it's a 2-liner, answer right away. 3 lines or more, skip it. If you guys follow this process, 80% of the exam is going to be answered within the first hour. And then you just got to focus on 20% for the next 3 hours. Good? Great. So, it says right here, a subdivision has deed restrictions stating that homes can be built only on 5-acre lots, although the town itself requires only 1/3 acre lots. Tom buys 1 acre in the subdivision. Can he obtain a building permit from the town? Yes, and his neighbors in the subdivision cannot do anything to stop his building. No, because the building department must observe the deed restriction. Yes, but the neighbors can ask the court to enforce the restriction and order his house torn down. Or no, because his lot is larger than the legal 1/3 acre. Barbara.
What?
Wait, which one?
The A.
A? No.
B.
Miss Marquez?
C.
C.
Yeah. Tear it down.
Remember this.
So they have to stay
Remember this.
Tear it down.
This is a sub. Turn it down.
I'll take you to court.
Call the police. So, this is a subdivision. And I intend, as a subdivider or developer, I intend to maintain certain aspects of the subdivision. So even though the town says we only need 1/3 acres, right? I'm asking the town for a permit to build with at least, how much do we say here? 5-acre lots. The town approves my development. So the more limiting one prevails. Which one limits the most? Mine, because there's 1 house per every 5 acres. Right? Now my neighbor, the person that purchases, knows that it's 1/3 acres with the town. Can they obtain the permit? Yeah, because the town has nothing to do with the subdivision. They approved it, but if somebody wants to change it, why not? Now, the rest of the people that bought in this area can enforce the original subdivision regulations by taking you, the new neighbor, to court and saying, hey, when you bought this, you knew there was a deed restriction. Deed restrictions have nothing to do with, again, the town zoning requirements. You guys got it? So the answer would be yes, they can get the building permit, but neighbors can ask the court to tear it down. Got it? Cool. Next, a seller who wishes to cancel a listing must cite a legally acceptable reason. May not cancel without the agent's agreement. May be held liable for money the agent spent advertising the listing. May not sell the property for 6 months afterward. Layla?
I think,
What is that?
Yeah.
No.
no,
No.
always on.
Next time, just raise it higher.
See? Yes.
C.
AOC.
May be held liable for money the agent spent advertising the listing.
Yeah.
Look, there's a listing agreement. Employer, employee. That's the way it works. If you do something for me, and I just decide, you know what? I'm not selling anymore. If you put money up front, you might be able to recover some money. That's what it is. Okay? Now, the other questions would have been valid, for instance, D. Could have been valid if they said that the listing was a 6-month listing. While the original listing was in effect, right, they cannot list with anybody else. That's something for you guys to know. If the seller, because there's a lot of realtors that go out there and start poaching your clients, meaning trying to steal the clients away from you. Say, hey, you only got like 2 months to go. Back out of the listing. I have a buyer for you. This guy's not doing anything for you, so let me help you. And they'll work like the client like that, right? If the sale happens while our original listing period was in effect, even though you temporarily withdrew off the market, then I'm still entitled to commission. Do you guys understand? We listed for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
The seller decides to back out 2 months before the end of the listing and sells the property within that period.
Mm-hmm.
I might still be entitled to commission. So the sellers cannot just back out just because.
So you're entitled, because I've seen those kind of listings.
Mm-hmm.
Because it comes and it disappears. Then after a month, or they come back in the market with a different agent.
Remember this, if the listing expired, because there's also like 2-week listings, 1-month listing, whatever we agree to, right? So if the listing expires, then there's no obligation.
What normally you ask for the timing when you list?
I'm sorry?
When you list, what time, how long?
It depends on the deal, but most of the average is 6 months.
You ask for 6 months,
That's the average.
but you don't say, oh, I'll sell the house in 3 months or 2 months.
You don't know.
We don't know. How can I guarantee any sale?
But how would you, convince them, hey, look, you're listing with me, I'm your agent, I'll try my best to sell within the 6 months? Within the 6 months?
Well, that's what the listing period is for.
Okay.
I believe that a property like yours should be able to sell within the next 3 months. But the listing is a 6-month listing.
Does it
So
show,
I
in
believe, see where the clause is? I believe.
Yeah.
does it show that you, somewhere on the
On the MLS.
MLS that there is a 6 month?
It'll say the termination date,
The
yeah.
next realtor wouldn't just automatically take it because somebody came up and said, oh, well, I think
Actually- No, actually, there's a lot of agents, and I do recommend this, especially when you're starting. If you want to get listings, you look for expired listings or about to expire, so you can set alerts.
Right, so you can't go on before, at least if that person tell you they want to expire the realtor, and it still shows that they're listed there for 6 months and the time hasn't expired. That's like you're cute to just kind of.
Yeah.
So you basically look at the listing time when it was posted? That's what you're saying?
No, it says start and it says end.
Yes.
Everything is listed on the MLS. Okay? But we'll go over this another time. Okay? 10. All listing agreements are made by the home seller and the salesperson who deals directly with the seller, the firm's broker of record, local multiple listing service, or transaction broker. Nancy?
Me.
Firm's broker of record. Because even though we're the ones knocking on that door and say, hey, would you like to sell? We're acting on behalf of the broker of record, always. All right? The seller owes a commission only, listen to what I'm asking here. The seller owes a commission only to whichever broker produces an acceptable buyer with what type of listing? To whichever broker. A, open listing. B, exclusive agency listing. C, net listing. Or D, exclusive right to sell listing. Too fast. Barbara.
B. No, sorry, B.
Go. A.
Yeah, anybody.
Yeah.
Whichever broker. That means I contracted with several brokers. It says whichever broker. That means I didn't go just to one brokerage. I went to several brokers. That's an open listing. Just like an open relationship, right?
They don't know about, nobody knows about that.
Everybody, come on. Everybody knows about that.
Not right now.
Putting you guys on the spot, huh? Nobody knows. 12. The owner retains the right to sell without paying a commission to the one agent hired. With what type of listing? Let's read this again. The owner retains the right to sell without paying a commission to the one agent hired. With what type of listing? A, open listing. B, exclusive agency listing. C, net listing. Or D, exclusive right to sell listing. Go, Nancy.
B.
Exclusive agency.
One. Because it's one.
Because it's one.
That he signed.
But wait, it could be D as well. But the difference is, retains the right to sell without paying commission. Without paying commission. So, the exclusive agency and exclusive right to sell is just one agency. But in exclusive agency, if I sell through my own efforts, I don't have to pay the agency anything.
But you have to.
Exclusive right to sell, doesn't matter who sells, agency gets commission.
So you have to mention in a contract?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Of course.
They're not paying him. If I sell the house without your hard work, so you won't be entitled for a commission. That way you put in a contract.
Gotta check out all the boxes. What type of agency do we have?
Page 34.
No, this is actually the listing agreement, but that was a good one. All right. Dana's agreement with her agent is that she receives $300,000 when their house is sold, and the agent can keep anything more than he can get. She has signed what type of illegal listing? A, open listing.
I can say.
B, exclusive agency listing. C, net listing. Or D, exclusive right to sell listing. Mike? Good morning. Net listing, yes. She's finally here. Net listing.
Right.
You heard illegal. He said, hey, I got
Yeah, it's a good deal.
this. It's a good deal. Very good. Comparative market analysis. Comparative market analysis is used to aid the seller in setting the listing price, to inform clients about local commission rates, to submit a listing to the multiple listing service, or to determine the true tax figure. Mina? T? Nope.
A.
A. Why do we do comps? A. To help the seller determine the listing price, because you guys remember, the seller sets the listing price. We do the comps to figure out the fair market value, and the buyer is the one that decides the selling price. how much the property sells for. So the comps are used to help the seller come down to earth and see the reality of the values of the properties in the neighborhood. Okay? To determine the true tax figure, that's if the property's owned by a religious, not-for-profit, if it's farmland or somebody 65 or older, right? Then we're looking for the true tax figure because your buyer might not pay the same amount of taxes.
So
Okay.
basically, you can determine by the renting income of
Oh,
the
you're going
property.
too far. No.
No.
Sales. Comparative market analysis usually, traditionally, sales.
So you see around whatever.
If there's not enough sales, then we look at other ways to move forward. Yeah. So don't go too far. Comps is to help the seller figure out the listing price, meaning what they should sell for. Now, the seller owes a commission to the listing agent, no matter who sells the property and what type of listing. A, open listing. B, exclusive agency. C, net listing. Or D, exclusive right to sell listing.
D.
D, exclusive right to sell listing. Okay? Questions are easy. Just gotta pay attention.
Yeah. Easy for now.
Easy for now, right?
The memory is still
The
fresh.
questions are very.
Nah.
Just half of it.
I remember the first quiz we did. Everybody was all happy. I got this. After question 15, they're like, right? All right. Next. The term liquidated damages refers to money that can be retained by the seller if the buyer defaults for no good reason. Consideration necessary for a valid contract. Equitable title. Or novation. Barbara. No.
Oh, the first. Yeah.
The first. A. Liquidated damages means settlement. And it means that Mr. Buyer, you want to walk away from this transaction? No problem. I'll keep your security deposit, or good faith deposit as we call in contracts. So every time a buyer backs out of a deal or breaches the deal, right, they might lose that security deposit. We call it good faith deposit or earnest money. Okay?
Can you say that again? Liquidated damage means what?
Settlement. You settle for whatever money is in escrow. Okay, look at this. If we have a lease, the tenant gives you what? A secure deposit. And what's a secure deposit for?
In case they default.
In case they default, either in the terms of the contract or they damage the property that they're supposed to maintain. Correct? If they default, what happens to the secure deposit? You keep it. Guess what happens here? If the buyer defaults, seller, you keep it. Simple. Because a good faith deposit is literally saying, hey, here's $1,000 to start, shows that I'm committed to buy your house. Okay? After a term of review, here's another $4,000 that shows I'm committed, really, really committed to buy your house. So now, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, you're retaining $5,000 of my money in an escrow account in case I default. If I default, what can you do with that money? Keep it. Okay? Questions? Novation, by the way, means new contract. It's when you're trying to get out of a particular contract and not be a party to it. You bring somebody else, and that somebody else takes over. All right, next. 17. The real estate broker is most motivated to invest time and effort in an open listing, exclusive agency listing, exclusive right to sell listing, or comparative market analysis. C, exclusive right to sell listing. Why? Because you're going to get paid anyway, as long as the property sells. So it doesn't matter who brings a buyer, I get paid.
So that's the best way of
That's all
signing
I
it?
want.
Yeah,
Exclusive
but
right to sell?
just make sure you explain to the seller, don't just check boxes.
Would you explain?
Because then you're just gonna be part of the 99% of the realtors out there.
So how you going to explain it to the customer? It's like, look, hey, I just wanted to do your listing, and then I think there's a better way. If we can go ahead and put an exclusive right to listing.
No.
You gotta explain each one.
You gotta explain each one.
Yeah.
Open
But
listing
anyway,
is this.
But not now, this is not the class right now.
So,
But yes, you have to explain all the three options.
So we make sure we have the book with us when we talk to them.
That you have the book with?
Just
No.
have it in there.
Don't forget, you're gonna be trained by your broker, okay? But for now, yes, you need to know the difference between them.
I can give you 4 options: open listing, exclusive agency listing, exclusive right to sell listing, and market analysis.
No, the
No.
D is not an option.
Okay.
Comparative market analysis is something that you should do regardless, which is, hey, this is what your property's worth. Okay? All right, the amount of commission split that the listing broker intends to offer a cooperative broker who finds a successful buyer must be revealed to. So before we go forward, we're saying, I just got the listing, and if Weichert broker brings a buyer, they're the cooperating broker. Okay? So, the amount of commission split that the listing broker intends to offer anybody that brings a buyer must be revealed to no one except the cooperating broker, the seller, the Justice Department, definitely, right? Or the Real Estate Commission. Okay, Layla.
ITP.
B, the seller. The seller must know how we're going to split their money. Because again, it's their money.
And I need it now.
You need it now? Okay, J.G. Wentworth.
Yeah. Cash now.
Yeah. Comparative market analysis should take into consideration, completely blind right now.
You're just like me because you get blank. Because when you take out your glasses, you look at the screen. And then
Something like that.
I go blank. Yes, it happens.
Seller's original cost, tax assessment figure, amount that the seller invested in improvements, or recent sales price of nearby homes. Betty?
D.
Recent sales price of nearby homes. The reason why I didn't ask you guys is because you raised the hand before I finished. It's like Jeopardy. You got like that. There's a right time for everything.
I got it.
I got it.
All the time.
They're becoming the price is right.
That's what it is.
That's wonderful.
Can't be too fast. All right.
That's the reason I'm not even.
Remember, there's up to 4 hours to the exam. All right. If a sales contract is prepared by a salesperson or broker, the buyer and the seller each have how long in which to obtain review by their attorneys? 24 hours, 3 business days, 7 calendar days, or 10 calendar days.
3 business days.
B, 3 business days. Very well. By the way, I saw something moving, but I can really not see that well. Okay? Make sure you raise your hand. And don't be afraid. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's okay. That's how we learn. Making the mistakes, right? Did I scare you off? I mean, don't keep.
This is how
It's just like I'm out. All right. A binder and deposit receipt is one form of listing contract, sales contract, independent contractor agreement, or buyer-broker agreement. I thought you were going to fall. Go. B. B, sales contract. I literally thought you were going to fall. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, it was a dance. That's it. All right, 22. If the sales contract becomes legally enforceable only after the buyer receives a satisfactory report from a home inspector, that requirement is known as, so remember this, if this then that. So I'm asking you, if this does not happen, then I don't have to go forward, right? This requirement is known as consideration, contingency, encumbrance, or warranty. Betty?
D.
Income.
B as in boy, contingency, yes.
Just like D. And let it go.
He said B as in boy, what's wrong with you? I heard B,
Me too.
right?
Just behind you. How dare you?
What a bad sport.
Boys are trying too much for they. No more comments.
It's a contingency because contingency means condition or subject to. Listen, I'll buy your house as long as the home inspection report doesn't reveal any major damages. So contingency, condition, or subject to. Okay? A warranty is a guarantee, right? An assurance that everything is okay. That's not what we're asking. What we're asking is, as a buyer, I'm not asking for a warranty. I'm asking for the right to inspect the property. And if everything's okay, I'll buy it. If not, I don't buy it. So contingency, subject to. Okay? Next. An offer is not legally considered accepted until earnest money has been deposited. What is earnest money?
Deposit with
Good faith deposit, right? Great. The other party has been notified of the acceptance. The parties have shaken hands. Or all inspections and appraisals have been completed. That was too fast, so no. Betty,
A.
what are you putting?
No, it's B.
It's over there. Nope, not A. B.
Said B.
That's
Yeah, let's keep it going.
that one. See, but that one I cannot work with. A and D's, D and D's kind of. All right. She's a good sport. You see that?
I see it.
Yes, I always support one. You heard me.
All right. So here's the thing. First of all, earnest money or good faith deposit is not a requirement. So it's not what we need. Okay? To be considered legally accepted, I put an offer. Until I know that the seller has accepted it, it doesn't mean anything. Okay? So it's only legally considered accepted once I receive notification that you, the seller, accepted my offer. Okay? Shaking hands, definitely not. Not enough. Inspections, it's after the offer. So definitely not. Okay? And again, good faith is not required, so it's not the condition to accept. Right? Jim takes out a mortgage loan to buy his first home. Jim takes out a mortgage loan to buy his first home. Then discovers the next day that he could find a loan with more favorable rates at another lending institution. He has how long to cancel the first loan? 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, or he may not rescind or cancel the mortgage.
10 days.
Sorry, disqualified.
D.
D, he cannot cancel the mortgage. Why? Because it says right there, it's to buy his first home. The right of rescission, it's only for refinances. Okay? For you to cancel a contract on the purchase of his first home, it's the contract between the seller and the buyer, not the lender. It is a tricky question. So if you don't read the part right here, right at the beginning, that says to buy his first home, right? You would assume that they got a second mortgage or refinance or something. So you have to remember,
You have to read very
That's why I go very slow, right? And then people jump without raising their hand and say 10 days. That's right. Number one reason for you guys to fail is
10 days.
Change. I'm changing.
you change a lot too. Yeah, I know.
Oh, no.
Go back up for it.
No.
Just go with it. Fail.
Yeah.
Why are you guys so afraid to fail? Just fail. Don't change. Fail. At least you failed because you chose the wrong answer, not the what if. Last night I had somebody here taking the exam while I was teaching the class. And Pedro, he was the proctor in the exam, so he was overseeing the exam, right? At the end, the guy, this is the second time the guy is taking the exam. At the end, he comes to Pedro. Pedro sees the score. He failed by 2 points. By 2 points. So Pedro asks him, hey, this answer right here, this question right here, what's the answer? He goes like, C. Why did you change from C to A? Okay, so I'm going to give you that point. And then he went to the other one. This question, what's the answer? D. Why did you change from B to D? He had changed 2 answers, right? I mean, he changed more, but 2 answers was enough to get him to pass because he was that close. So we're not that bad, right? We're going to help you. We could have just failed because of the second guessing. If it's like a big difference, yeah, you're not going forward. But he was that close, so he gave him another chance. But remember, fail because you had it wrong, not fail because you changed answers. It's worse. The worst thing. What if? You got it? Very, very important. So I appreciate you saying 10 days. It's fine. Go with it. Now you know that it's wrong. You got it? But at least answer it. Do something. So, again, because it's for the purchase of the primary home, the right of rescission does not apply. Next. In a contract, whatever the parties promise to give to each other is known as consideration, novation, liquidated damages, or assignment. You were the first one. I got you guys. You're the first one to raise your hand. But you answered before I said, go, Alexander.
That's great.
Mina. But I can't count it.
Consideration.
Consideration. Listen, I'm going to give you money in exchange for the house. What is that? Every time there's an exchange or promise to give to each other, it's called consideration. Okay? Novation is a new contract. Liquidated damages is settlement in keeping the deposit. Assignment is the transfer of right or duties in a particular contract. So assignment is I can't buy it anymore, so Mina, do you want to buy? And I assign or transfer the contract. Okay? So assignment and novation fall more or less in the same category. You guys got it? Okay. Now, the word executed, when applied to a contract, means fulfilled, but is also used to mean voided, signed, assigned, or expressed. Go.
B.
B, signed. When a contract is prepared, it means nothing. Once you sign, you execute the contract. Both parties sign, it's fully executed. Now, that's the paper itself. The conditions of the contract now become executory until we get to the closing when it's again executed as far as terms. You guys got it? Questions? That was a question? Wow. One of the 110 questions, so you guys know, was that one. Guaranteed they're your money back. All right. 27. George signs a contract agreeing to sell his house to Debbie. He later changes his mind and refuses to sell. He offers her a few $1,000s to void the contract. But because he wants the particular house, she sues for, so let's remember this real quick, because this is a long one, right? So George is selling to Debbie, but then says, you know what? Not doing this. But Debbie really wants the house. So what can she do? She can sue for A, liquidated damages. Remember, she's the buyer. B, time is of the essence. C, rescission or cancellation. Or D, specific performance. Mina.
D.
Specific performance. What's the idea of the contract when it comes to real estate? It's either to buy or sell, right? So to perform the contract means we accomplished what the contract was prepared for. Does that make sense? So if one of the parties tries to back out, the other party can say, no, you're going to perform under the contract. Specific performance. You are going to sell to me. Or you are going to buy from me. Specific performance. You got it? Questions? Okay. Every time you see rescission, remember it's cancellation, okay? Now, a land contract. This is the last thing in chapter 11, contracts. A land contract is sometimes known as an option agreement, a contract for deed, a purchase money mortgage, or a counteroffer. Mina.
B.
B, contract for deed. Because I told you guys that a land contract or installment sales contract is the same as car financing. You only get the title, or in this case the deed, after paying almost everything. So technically it's a contract of installment payments in exchange for the deed later on. Contract for deed. Okay? Questions? No? Need more coffee?
No.
You look like you need it.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know what happened.
You're winding down.
I went down.
It's the Boston cream.
Yeah. Go take it off and then.
Get up, do a few jumping jacks. That's it.
Yeah, just.
All right. Real estate licensees are allowed to fill out contracts for the purchase of duplexes, option agreements, tracts of vacant land, or all real estate. Nancy. A, duplexes. We don't prepare contracts for all real estate, so D is out of question. Option agreements are a little complex. They're not traditional contracts, so attorneys prepare, not us. And tracts of vacant land. If it was a single vacant lot, yes. Tracts, we're looking at a bunch of them. We can't. You guys got it? 1 to 4 family and single vacant lots, we can prepare. A duplex is a 2-family. So it falls within the ones we can prepare. Good? In order to be legally enforceable, which contracts must be in writing according to the statute of frauds? In order to be legally enforceable, which contracts must be in writing according to the statute of frauds? Independent contractor agreements, all contracts, leases for more than 3 years, or management agreements. Nancy? Leases for more than 3 years.
No, she said Z.
She good.
I said
Z.
It's not out there.
Nancy said, I'm a winner this time. No.
No. You see how it is?
I'm not going.
She said Z, not C. This is a multiple choice. We got like 20-something options here.
You guys are not hearing right. That's all I'm saying.
I didn't clean my ears this morning. I'm sorry. I was rushing. All right. So, leases for more than 3 years, or any real estate contract, actually. But since it doesn't mention real estate contracts, then it's not in writing. But leases for more than 3 years, long-term leases, must be in writing.
And the key word is legally enforced.
Legally enforceable. Well, yeah. But here they're talking about statute of frauds, legally enforceable, yes. Which ones must be in writing? Because all of them are legally enforceable, right? All of them, legally enforceable. It's a contract, it's a contract. As long as the four components are there, right? Which is competent parties, offer and acceptance, consideration, and legal purpose. But then, according to the statute of frauds, right, it must be in writing if it's for real estate transactions or leases of more than 3 years. Now, tenant who is renting from month to month and wants to move out, usually owes how much notice to the landlord? Meaning, how soon do I have to tell the landlord that I'm moving out? Okay? Month to month. None. 30 days. 1 month from the date before the rent is due. Or 2 full months.
C.
C. 1 month from the date that the rent is due. So a lot of people get confused. 1 month is 30 days. No. Because some months are 31 and some are 28 or 29. So it's always 1 month before the rent is due. Okay? Next. A security deposit minus itemized deductions for damages must be returned to the departing tenant as the tenant moves out within 1 week at the end of the lease, no more than 30 days after the end of the lease, or within 2 months. Nancy?
See?
I just wish Kelly was here because this was her question. But yes, C.
Right away.
I was waiting for her to get through the door, like, C. No. All right. So, no more than 30 days after the end of the lease. It's not when they move out. Oh, but they said they're going to leave, so I took the money out of the bank. No. Don't do that. It's not within the week, 1 week. It's not within 2 months. It's within 30 days after the end of the lease. Now, if rental property is sold, the tenant's security deposits must be returned, turned over to the new landlord, placed in the non-interest-bearing account, or doubled. Barbara, you were too soon, but I'll allow it. Go. Just because of what he's doing. Turned over to the new landlord. Absolutely, because the money does not belong to you, the seller. It does not belong to the buyer either. It belongs to the tenant. Therefore, it should be just given to the new landlord, and the new landlord must notify the tenant of where the money is. Okay? 34. A lease cannot become binding. A lease cannot become binding until the tenant has received a lead-based paint disclosure statement for any commercial property, shopping plaza, apartment house, or residential property built before, she even gets up, before 1978. Layla.
I can see.
D as in David. Residential property, if it was built before 1978, she did not say B, man. If it was built before 1978, always associate with lead-based paint, period. So no other option would be possible. $35. In most cases, the store that rents space in a shopping mall is on what type of lease? Gross lease, ground lease, percentage lease, or periodic lease? Yeah, B. Ground lease.
Yeah, it's B.
See?
C. Percentage lease.
It's a story.
Shopping plazas traditionally have an agreement that if your business goes above a certain amount, I want a percentage of it. But that's what you said. You said C, right?
Yes, it's because I'm telling you guys are here wrong.
You heard what? C? Huh? B?
P.
P.
Oh, now you
That's
hear
right.
P, right?
Yeah.
In most states, instead of mortgage borrowers sign reduction certificates, trust deeds, defeasance clauses, or estoppel certificates. Ooh, what that do? Hold on, coming back. Which question were we at?
36.
This is 36. Doesn't look like it.
Nice. 36. You're in the wrong.
36,
I think you're in the
yeah.
wrong place.
Yeah, this is right here. All right, who's going to give me the answer? Raise your hand now. Nina.
B.
Trust deeds. Yep. So mortgages are similar to trust deeds. Some states, instead of mortgages, they sign trust deeds. Get up a little bit. Get up a little bit. Come on. Seriously. Otherwise, you're going to sleep.
No, I'm just not feeling well. I'm just gonna.
We get some water, walk around, spruce up to get another Boston cream.
Sugar letdown.
I'm sorry?
I said that sugar letdown can be interesting.
I know. The reason why I don't give candy to my kids, and when I do, is because I know what's going to happen after. They crash.
Not all of them.
I know.
Sometimes they get hyper.
Oh, no. They all get hyper, but then we lock them in the room. They get hyper all together, and then when we come back 5 minutes later, they're like,
Okay. Uh-huh.
that's the trick. Here's a bunch of sugar. I don't do this, so, it's a joke. All right, 37. If a mortgage pledges the property as security for the loan, what document serves as a personal promise to repay the debt? You already raising your hand? The note or bond, a trust deed, an estoppel certificate, or a subordination agreement? You know the answer? No, okay.
A.
Note or bond, promissory note. The mortgage equals security or collateral, which equals house.
That's what I knew.
No. Because she didn't memorize the whole thing. So give us
No,
a
but
chance.
I had a.
Just-
I had
just-
a
Just throw the book at her.
She didn't-
Stop it.
I
No.
know what she's done.
I had like on mine like promissory.
Promissory note. That's why you didn't see promissory, and you're like, nope, that's not it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. That's what you were looking for. And he was just looking for money. Wherever it said money, right? Is that what it was, man? The buyer who takes over a mortgage already on the property is not personally responsible for the debt if he or she, so remember this, you're buying the house, right? So before we read anything else, we need to understand the question. I'm buying the house and I'm taking over your mortgage or your payments, okay? I am not personally responsible for the debt if I assume the loan, take title subject to the loan, receive a reduction certificate, or sign a satisfaction certificate. Go.
B.
B. Takes title subject to the loan. There's only two possible answers here, A or B.
I was gonna say A.
Yeah.
But A, we would both be responsible.
If he assumed the loan.
Correct, but it says clearly not personally responsible
So that means the loan, he's paying it, but it's still
under the other person's name.
under their name.
Yep.
You know, like husband and wife that are not really husband and wife. The husband is in the wife's
Betty
office
has
and they're
power.
just paying.
No, but Betty has power because she just scrambled Nancy's brain. Because right before this, she went like, Nancy, stop. Boom.
Nancy has all these things.
No, but you just like, I won't mess with you, Betty. You coming to work with us, right? I'm just saying, 'cause then I'll use her in front of everybody, like, yo, stop, and sign right here.
Yeah, exclusively.
Exclusively, that's, wow. Powerful. All right, next. The buyer of a foreclosed real estate at a public auction receives the property free of all liens, everything except unpaid property taxes, any liens junior to the one being foreclosed, or any liens except those on record. You know what's funny is that Mina looks around to see if anybody raises their hand
Yeah.
before he raises his. Go ahead.
C.
C. Any liens junior to the one being foreclosed. Why? Because we're still paying for that one. There's not enough money to satisfy the other ones, right? The other ones get wiped out. But we're paying the one that's being foreclosed. I'm sorry?
Oh,
But you're saying everything. It's not true,
no.
right? We're talking about liens. Any liens junior to the one being foreclosed, it gets wiped out by the sale. But am I not still legally liable to pay that one lien?
The taxes, right?
No.
No, that's me. Oh, okay.
It's saying property free of. We're always going to have taxes.
Right.
You receive the property free of. You still pay taxes regardless. Because next year, guess what's back again? Taxes. The following year, guess what's back again? So you're never free of taxes. But there's one lien that's foreclosing on the property. And that's the one we must pay. Everything else gets wiped out by the sale. So all the liens junior, so underneath the one that's foreclosing, they wiped out. Okay? Now, the mortgage lender may also be known as payor, hypothecator, mortgagor, mortgagee, or terminator.
Mortgagee.
Mortgagee, all right. See, getting up was good for you.
Yeah.
The teacher is always right. The same.
Always trying to get credit.
Of course.
It's a B.
That's what you heard, right? Yeah. All right, this is a long one. And it's a tongue twister, right?
Leave it for the end.
Don and David are divorced, and David signs a deed. A lot of, right? Make sure you guys know how to pronounce D. So Don and David are divorced, and David signs a deed turning over his share of the house to Dawn. So you know what? We're no longer together. My share is now yours. You keep 100% of the house. Great. A few years later, she's unable to make the mortgage payments. So she defaults, goes into foreclosure. The bank may try to collect the unpaid debt from no one after the property is sold at a foreclosure sale, Don only, David only, or both Don and David.
It's a David.
Ah, sorry. Both of them. Okay, I did see yours. See, you were busy with the jingle, you didn't hear everything.
He signed the deed, but he didn't make that arrangement with the
No, but that was
mortgage
a-
company.
Say louder. Say louder.
Yeah, he signed the deed in the courthouse, but he did not make that arrangement with the mortgage company, which means he would
Correct.
have to refinance to have it all by
So
himself.
unless Dawn, or refinance, or unless Dawn assumed the loan by herself,
Oh, okay, yeah.
okay?
Soon or refinance.
She took over or refinanced the loan. David is always liable.
Because the deed is just a recorded document, not necessarily the
Transfer of
transaction. form.
That's it. Very, very good. So powerful. Because the moment she said
But I
stop,
know,
she also
I
said,
know.
give me your knowledge.
I don't know. I cannot speak the language. It's no comprende.
It's no
like
comprende.
boom, boom, where are you?
So awesome. All right. We're at 2. From now on, everybody says stop to the person answering everything, okay? Share the knowledge.
She's a passionate woman, so
Good.
she wants us.
All right. Just do me a favor, the jingle, stop because it's getting on the audio. All right, thank you. So, prepayment penalties for those who want to pay their mortgage loans off earlier than scheduled are limited in New Jersey too. So, paying sooner is limited in New Jersey too. No charge, 1% of the outstanding debt, 2% of the debt, but only within the first year of the loan, or prepayments are not allowed in New Jersey. Go.
B,
Ah,
prepayment.
you did not read right. Yes,
Hey.
you did not read right. Hey, no charge. Too soon. I told you, too fast, too furious, man.
Yeah, yeah. 'cause
Go sit back down. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
It's in the state of New Jersey, and there's no here.
Here,
I'll sit down.
No, what I meant was when you were sitting down, you were reading. Now you're like,
Yeah, I'm okay now.
okay, good. Sometimes that's all we need. Get up. Let's not get up and go to the bathroom. All right. The illegal charging of unreasonably high interest is known as default, estoppel, usury, or hypothecation. Betty,
Usually.
usury. Alexander, were you raising your hand? Because I just saw a finger. Raise the hand. It's okay. Barbie, you should sit next to her and just poke her so she's
Oh, she should sit next to Nancy.
and tell her to stop.
Nancy, she ready to take the test, and Nancy can probably bring you up.
All right. We need calculators now.
That's the part that I'm like.
Then this is the part I need to be quiet. No further.
No further questions, Your Honor. That's it. All right.
Let me give it a try.
Almost. The seller has agreed to pay 2 points to the bank in return for the buyer securing a mortgage on the loan, mortgage loan on a house worth $225,000 with 10% down payment. How much will this cost the seller? Now we know why Malek left. That was a math question. So how much will it cost the seller? They're asking those 2 points. How much will they cost the seller?
Down payment.
I'm going to give you some time.
What's the multiple choice?
It is multiple choice. I'll give you the answers in a little bit. For now, write it down. You're going to get another dummy. No.
It's 4,500.
Don't answer. Just do it.
My question is, why when the person bought the house or looking at the house, always they show points?
It's not always. It's just the points help in reducing the amount of interest you pay over the years. But they don't always charge points. And they're supposed to give you options. You guys ready?
Yes.
No talking.
No se pase la respuesta.
All right, children, you ready?
Yes.
Let's figure this out. Let's see if you guys have anything close to this. A, 4,500. B, 2,250. C, 2,500. Or D, 4,050.
I think it's A.
You think it's A? All right. No.
I think I see.
I think is B.
What's D?
See.
B is the boy.
You're saying it because I didn't say yes to any of them?
Say is D.
B is the boy.
Correct answer is D as in David.
Highway.
How? The D is the D.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
draw.
yes, I will.
I need to see.
Demanding. All right. How much is the purchase?
235.
How much is the down payment?
10%.
Great. And they're asking the seller to pay 2 points. Yes?
Yes.
Which equals 2%. So how much, that's the question, seller pays. Right? So my question is, the points are based on what?
There's a
1 point is 1% of what?
The down payment, I mean, the
No.
rate.
The value of the house?
No, that's what it is for. My question is, the point is 1% of what?
The loan to what he's gonna borrow,
Louder.
the loan of what he's going to borrow.
Loan amount. It's never purchase price. 1 point is 1% of the loan, never the purchase price. So we need to figure out how much the loan is.
200.
It's 225,000 minus the down payment, right? Because it's 90% LTV is the loan.
You divide or you?
It's up to you. Your calculator has a great system. If you guys try it now real quick, 225,000 minus 10%.
22,004.
Malek went to take a break and is answering outside as she's smoking.
It's 202,500.
So 225 minus 10% is
2,500.
202,500. This right here is the loan amount, correct? Yes?
Yes.
225,000 minus the 10% is 202,500. Now, the points are a percent of the loan amount. If they're asking for 2 points, they're asking for 2% of
So you multiply.
the loan.
You multiply for 0.2%.
So what we will do now is 202,500 times 0.02, or 2%, because your calculators have a percentage, right? And that equals, what is it?
40.
$4,000.
4,050.
Thank you for your answer, but it was D as in David.
Yeah, what I did not minus the 10% of what he was agreed to do it, and I did it right on top of the full amount.
Never the purchase price, ever.
But
So the
see,
seller pays $4,050 in points. Never the purchase price. 1 point is 1% of loan amount. You say?
Okay, so sometimes they say in the text, 1.5, 2 points.
1.5,
2 points,
2 points,
yes.
or 1.5 points.
1.5 and 2 points también.
Okay, so 1.5,
En los
All right, yeah, I don't understand that either.
1.5, and
they put 1.5
No, I got that.
plus the 2 points.
Maybe they're saying, I don't know, 1.5, 2 points? Like it could be one
It's
or the
like
other?
when you multiply, it's 0.02. So, yeah.
Well, 0.02 is this, 2%.
percent.
Pero cuando lo hicieron, 0.002.
Oh,
Okay,
That's confusing.
2,000?
all right, hold on. Hold on. Did you guys get this one here? We're good?
yeah,
Yes?
thank you.
So, points are percentage, right? Is based on 100. Okay? Now, I'm going to teach this better when we get to the math class, right? But it's based on 100 always. So, if we have 0.02, this right here is 100%. Therefore, this right here is 2%. If it said 0.10, it's 10%. It's always based on 100. So all you needed to do here is remove these. Always under 100. And you start counting from the, sorry. Got it?
I'm gonna do this. I didn't get the answer wrong already.
Which one?
I don't even know how you got the 2,002, 500.
Oh, okay, hold on. I got it.
25 minus 10%.
Because the formula, it's just
No,
like
no.
what I'm used to seeing is not there.
Hold on. So here you go. You had 225,000. Again, this is the purchase price, right? And they said that the down payment was 10%. Now, there's a couple ways we can calculate this. We have a math chapter just for this, but I'll do it for you guys right now, real quick. So, 10%. In your calculator, you could just do minus 10%, only because they're not asking what is the down payment. If they were asking what was the down payment, then you need to figure out what 10% is, and then 225 minus that. But right now, it's just minus 10%, and it gives you 202,500, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is now the loan. If they wanted to know what the down payment was, then we would not use minus 10%. Okay? You would do the traditional way, which is 225 times 10%. It's fine as well. The difference is this. It's going to tell you that the down payment is 22,500. Okay? Totally fine. Just understand, now you have an extra step, which is figuring out what the loan is. And the loan is the difference between the purchase price and the down payment. Right? So purchase price minus down payment equals LTV, or loan. Right? So 250,000 is the purchase price, minus the 22,500, which is the down payment, equals the loan, which is 202,500. So either way is correct. But in this question, they did not ask for the down payment. If the question was the buyer is putting 10% down plus paying 2 points. How much does the buyer need? The question was how much the seller, right? If the question was how much does the buyer need? Well, it would be the down payment plus the 2 points, which is the 40, 50. Does that make sense? So if they ask how much the buyer needed, well, it would be 26,550. The question is how much does the seller need?
Why
So-
would they put 2 points?
I'm sorry?
Why would they ask them for 2 points after
The-
down payment?
The point is an exchange, so you're paying money up front. I think Ricardo was the one who explained to you guys. The point is an exchange. You're prepaying up front this 4,050 to reduce the interest over the lifetime of the loan.
So the point is like your credit.
What do you mean?
Like say, for instance, if your credit is bad, the points will be higher.
No, because the points are an option. The points are an option. The lender can say, hey, listen, based on the current rates, this is what we have available. And if you pay 1 point, it reduces your interest rate. Can I erase this?
So can they,
Okay.
so if it was 4 points, can you?
Hold on. So let's say the loan was 250, just to make it easy, and it was at 5.25% for 30 years. Okay? You don't have to write this down. This is just for a quick example. It's a $250,000 loan at 5.25% for 30 years. And your lender comes to you and says, hey, we have an option. A couple options. If you pay 1 point, we're going to reduce the rate to 5% for 30 years. If you pay 2 points, we're going to reduce the rate to 4.75 for 30 years. So all they're saying is that if you give this money up front, it reduces the lifetime interest of the loan. It's like an additional down payment. You can think about that. It's like an additional down payment.
Like financing a car.
Same thing. You guys got it? All we're trying to reduce and make an exchange of points for a lower interest rate. Lifetime of the loan. So in this scenario, it might take you roughly 2 years to recover what you paid up front. It might take 3 years to recover what you paid up front. But then you have 20-something years of profit because you're paying less every month. You got it? So a point is an exchange or a trade-off between the interest and the little money you pay up front. You got it? Cool? All right, so we finish this and go to chapter 17. We only got 5 more questions to go.
So when do you have the chapter for math? Next week?
Chapter for math will be today's Thursday, right?
Next week.
Monday?
No, hold on. Today's Thursday, we'll be 17. Tomorrow, 18 and 19. Monday will be 21, and try to squeeze in 20. And it will be either Tuesday or Wednesday.
That much.
Good. You got it? Yeah. All right. What else we got? In the preceding question, any points paid are income tax deductible by the buyer only, the seller only, the buyer and seller each in full, or the buyer and seller half by each. Buyer only, because the points are credit to the, or debit to the buyer, therefore they can deduct on their income tax. All right? 46. If a mortgage debt grows gradually larger instead of being paid down, then the borrower has a buy down, a straight loan, negative amortization, or adjustable interest rate. Petty.
B, a straight loan.
C, negative amortization. Yes, absolutely. You You are absolutely right.
All of them.
Tell me that's what you heard.
No,
You
straight
don't do that to me.
When you're paying interest only is straight.
Correct.
Yeah,
But in this case, it's asking, instead of the mortgage debt going down, it's going up.
right, so you
Right.
have to
So amortization means paying down the loan.
on all.
If it's negative amortization, you're not paying down, it's going up. You're not paying enough.
And the buy down is only when, let's say for instance.
That's like the points.
The points.
Yeah.
Trying to help the buyer.
Good?
Go ahead and meet the
So-
down payment.
Great answer. Great. Now, below market interest rates are offered to qualified borrowers by the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Financing Agency, the Housing and Urban Department, Federal Housing Administration, the Veteran Affairs, or Principal Interest Tax and Insurance. Go, Barbara.
Huh? BAC?
Can't help you on that one. Oh, what?
You want me to answer?
Well, you're like, hey, me.
Hey.
Hey. Look, the VA does not change the interest rates. What they help you with is down payments.
And it's 100% for the veteran.
Correct. So that they can come in 100%. Yeah. They don't have to put any down payment.
And 96.5.
Now, FHA offers you the advantage of a lower down payment. Still not interest rates. PITI is Principal Interest Tax and Insurance, so definitely has nothing to do with this. The New Jersey Housing Mortgage Financing Agency. They are an agency to help low moderate income purchase homes. So not only do they offer a lower down payment, they also offer below market interest rates. So if the interest rate right now is 4%, with them you're probably at 3.25%. All right, it's to help low moderate income persons to be able to afford a house. Okay, because everybody deserves to own a house. Next, artificially low teaser rates are a feature of VA mortgages, FHA mortgages, conventional mortgages, or adjustable rate mortgages. Nancy?
D.
Adjustable rate mortgages. Did you answer, Ben?
Say it again.
Did you answer?
I said D. Out.
Okay. You said it at the same time, so I just
Right.
you're really sucking Ben hard. Like you guys are connected now. Like you even answer at the same time.
Take place for
We
that.
need to be connected to places.
Nancy's having a full workout over here, just laughing.
Energy.
The energy, that's it.
That's it.
All right, mortgage brokers. We're almost done. Just two more, right? This one, the other one. Mortgage brokers handle only FHA mortgages. Sell package of loans on the secondary market. Refer borrowers to mortgage lenders. And keep certain loans in their own portfolio. Mina?
C.
C, they refer borrowers to mortgage lenders. They are brokers, so it's the same thing as a real estate broker.
So anybody's.
We're matching them. Okay, we're matching the borrower to the lender. That's what a broker is. 50, a home equity loan is really a form of interim financing, reverse mortgage, open-end mortgage, or second mortgage. You know?
D.
D as in David, second mortgage. Home equity loan is based on equity left on the property, so after you purchase. You guys got it? Cool? All right, break time so I can prepare the next one.